All right, good morning, folks. It's Friday. I got home last night and did not finish the pistons. So I got a lot going on today. I'm going to try to make this a few part series, I guess. I guess we'll call this part 2 of cleaning the pistons, but I still got to get these soaked for a little while. This is how they've been sitting overnight after I pulled them out of the solution because I didn't want to break that 4-hour time. And I'll probably cut that video there. And we are going to start assembling the engine tonight. So I've got to get our camshaft, the Hamilton 178-208 cam, in the freezer. Reason being, I'm reusing my old cam gear. And I have to take that old cam gear off and put it on the new cam gear. So little trick, put it in the freezer, shrink the cam, heat up the cam plate, slide it back on. In theory. So I got to get that done. I'm going to soak these main caps a little bit more. See if I can get some of this discoloration out of them. I'm going to soak those in degreaser. Actually, not degreaser. I'm going to soak those in that Chem dip. And those can pretty much sit all day. They're steel, so they don't have a time limit like the aluminum does. So I'll probably drop those in here shortly. What else do I need to get done? A lot of stuff. So I'll make this video, and then right before we get ready to build, my buddy's going to be here sometime around 5:30 to get started. I will make a short video on the piston assembly, putting the rods on the wrist pins with the pistons, get that done for you guys. There's not a whole lot to it, but we'll make a short video on that anyways. And if I get them done ahead of time, I'll just wrap them in a trash bag. That way they are not getting dirty before we open up the engine. So I'll try to make videos this evening. This is going to be a really fast process. Michael's extremely fast. He's done this countless times. He actually helped me pull the motor on my truck, and we had the engine out of the truck and completely disassembled in about 4 hours. And me personally, I'm always, take my time, mark bolts, put them in cardboard, label them so I know where everything goes. He said, no, just throw them in a 5-gallon bucket and I'll figure it out later. Right. So let's get these pistons done. All right, we're back. It's taking a little bit longer than I thought they were going to. So I let the 1 hour time go by. So these have been in for a total of 2 hours at that point, and there was still quite a bit of carbon buildup in the ringlands. So I did a little scrub down again and let them sit for another hour. They're about there. It's mainly that top ringland that is the real booger. So they're going on hour 3. The maximum, again, by the manufacturer is 3 hours, or 4 hours rather. So we're getting close to that time, but I just want to make sure that they are pretty clean. I have all the rods mostly cleaned up. Those 2 pistons are done and ready to go. Nice and shiny, clean. I've not started soaking my mains yet, but I will do that. I still have to get the cam gear off the old cam, but first I'm going to pull this guy out of the box. I will get a couple of clips so you guys can see what it looks like. I mean, it looks like a normal cam, but I'm going to be cleaning this and putting it in the freezer. This has not been opened yet at all, so you can kind of see if you order a cam from Hamilton, that's how it's going to come. Nice insert, keep the cam centered in the box, protect it, and it was delivered standing upright, which is very important. For those of you that don't know, because these camshafts are so long, you can actually warp them and cause yourself all kinds of headaches. So I'm going to get that done, and I got to find them. Actually, I think I put them in the house. I'm going to go ahead and video during this block prep for you guys. I still have a little bit more to do to the block before assembly. Here we go. So, ARP head studs. I opened the box, but I have not taken them out of the box yet. I don't need that wire. Don't mind all my random crap. I used to own a construction company, so I have stuff everywhere. So there's the instructions manuals. Of course, it comes with ARP lube and all that good stuff. This is what I want to show you guys. Chase if necessary with ARP thread chasers, part numbers, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. So that is covering your bolt holes in the block, and you also need to chase the ones in the head. And your rocker pedestals also. So these have already been milled. I had my friend mill those. I still need to clean these, as you can tell. But you can see where they've been milled down to accept heads. So what we are also going to do, just to ensure good connection and thread sealing. So here's your M8. You guys can see that. M8 by 125. And your M12. Let's get that focus. M12 by 175. M12 is for the block. And this is a specific type of tap. There's lots of taps. These are bottom taps. You can see how it goes all the way down to the end. So essentially you're going to run this down in the block, bottom it out, and then back it back out. You know, plenty of WD-40, and you don't want to just bury the thing. So you're going to go down, work it down a little ways, back it out, work it down, back it out. This does two things. One, it's going to clean the threads that are already there. And two, from the manufacturer, the holes in the top of the block, and I'll video this for you guys. The holes in the top of the block aren't necessarily threaded all the way down. We want as much thread surface on these studs as we can possibly get. So that's where that guy comes in. And I can post links for part numbers, I believe, unless I can get it to focus. Made in China, of course. But anyways, we want as many threads on the studs as we can possibly get for the strongest clamping force. So I'll video that. Like I said, lots of WD-40. And then once you're done tapping them, you're going to run brake clean through them and spray the crap out of them to make sure you get all the metal shavings out. Really important to do that before we start assembling, and I'll give this block another wipe down before we actually start assembly. Yeah, I tried to put a trash bag over the block. Note to self, home trash bag, not big enough to cover a Cummins block. Yes, there's stains on that from where you can see where the old gasket was, but believe me when I tell you, this thing is pretty dang clean. You can run your fingernail anywhere across the top of that and not catch a damn thing. So I gotta get that done. I gotta get the cam in the freezer to get it shrunk down. I'm gonna clean it first. They ship it with a coating on it to prevent it from rusting. And then I'll put it in the freezer. And then I gotta degrease the crank. So I'm gonna degrease the crank. It's still got plenty of oil on it, so it's not rusting. I'm gonna degrease, clean really well. I may take an emery cloth and clean these up, especially where your front main's gonna sit. You guys see that groove right there? So usually when you put your front main seal on, you're gonna see this, and it's just a groove that's worn over time. You have a couple of options. I haven't pulled it out yet, but you have a couple of options. You can go with an oversized seal, or you can get a wear sleeve. A wear sleeve is just a round sleeve that you press over the top of this. That way the new seal has a good mounting surface. And we're gonna do that for the front and the rear, I believe. Not the rear, just the front. So, yep, that's it for now. I'll check back in as soon as I get these dang pistons done. These are like the bane of my existence right now. And when I come back, we will be, I guess I can video cleaning the crank for you guys if you want. There's not a whole lot that goes into that, but I will definitely video the threading of the block, and you also need to do the head just to make sure they're clean. But that head just came back from the machine shop, so I'll look at them, but I'm sure they're probably good. All right, so cam unboxing. The cam comes in this cardboard tube and has this little guy that goes over the top to keep this cam centered in the tube. So you take that off and it's taped. So pull the tape off, pull that little center cap out, and then this is what it looks like, how they ship it. All right, okay, so they got this little netting on here. We're gonna clean this cam. Probably not gonna be able to do the cleaning and video at the same time, but these cams always need to be stored upright because, like I said before, they will warp, and they are cast. So if you drop this, it's basically going to shatter at every lobe into a bunch of different pieces. So be extremely careful. Simply open the plastic up. Sorry guys about the video quality. I'll get better. Eventually I'll get an actual video camera and a tripod. But right now, this is all my iPhone. So yeah, it's actually stuck to it fairly well. We need to get all that off of there before we stick it in the freezer. Come on. Okay. So we need to get all this coating off of the cam. You can kind of see some of it there before it goes in the freezer because we do not want to freeze that to the cam. Ugh. Well, they really stuck it on here. It's actually pretty dirty. So you can kind of see all the gunk, grime. You know, it's a coating. There's a name for it. I forget what it is. It's very sticky. And it's basically just to protect it while it's sitting on the shelf at the manufacturer, so you don't get rust. Ugh. There we go. I'm not sure what that's all about. Looks like a mark of some sort, Sharpie maybe. But basically all I'm going to do is fresh can of brake clean, some paper towels, engine paint, and clean it up. And then I'm going to put it back in the cardboard, back in the base, and stick it in the freezer standing upright. It's going to be a tight fit because I can't remove the shelves from my freezer, and I have like 3 inches of space in front of the shelves, so we'll see if that works. Also in the box, in the bottom of the box, you have, well, if you order them, you will have Hamilton cams, tappets. So these are the 145 second gen tappets that are usually found in 24 valves. Gives you a little wider surface area for where they sit, a little more added strength there. So these also will, before we get started today on assembly, these will get cleaned and soaked in oil. And then you have a new retainer, a thrust retainer. The one in this truck was actually pretty good, in really good shape. I could probably reuse it, but since they sent me one with this anyways, I'm just gonna throw the new one in there. And I'll save the other one for another day. And then you have your retainer plate. So once you start getting up in the higher horsepower builds, and this is not by any means going to be a ridiculously high horsepower build, we're probably going to be in the neighborhood of like 500, 550, somewhere around there. But once you start getting up there, the engine will actually want to push the cam forward and blow it out the front of the block, basically. So that's what that is for. It will thread in there once the cam gear is on. Cam gear will go on, put slotted the tooth on the cam gear, line everything up, press it on, and then that bolts on to the front of the cam just to make sure that it can't come off. Yeah, I know my shop's really dirty, guys. That's actually where I did most of the engine cleaning. My floor sweats because whoever poured the concrete in here didn't put vapor barrier underneath it, like a bunch of dummies. So I just have to work with what I have. Plus side, I don't have to worry about dust right now. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up, get it stuck in the freezer, and I'll check back with you. I'm doing this while those pistons are sitting in that solution for a little bit longer. I'm not gonna go much more than 3 hours on them. Wherever they're at after that is what it is. I'm just gonna have to finish hand cleaning and scrubbing. I'm sure they would be fine if I went the full 4 hours, but I just don't want to risk it. So we'll be back. All right, another little short clip. So got it all sprayed down. You can see what it looks like after you clean it up. It's pretty dull, obviously. Smooth, but very dull looking versus the cam that came out of it because these don't have any runtime on them. So once these start making contact with the tappets, they'll be all shiny just like the bearing races. But there's your part number. Hamilton cams, 178, 208. So off to the freezer we go. All right, so they're all done, as clean as they're gonna get. I'm about to drop these guys in some solution for a couple hours. Just give them one more go to clean up before assembly. So while those are soaking, I'm gonna do a little bit of house cleaning because my shop is a freaking mess. And I'm gonna set up a table, construction job company. I have some plywood over there, some scrap lumber. So I'm just gonna make a quick table to set up all of our parts on, lay everything out, and all the sockets that we'll need and so on and so forth. So we'll be ready to go. I'll come back when I have the crank cleaned and the table set up and ready to chase these threads on this board. All right, so I got the crank soaking in that degreaser. You can see all the crap that's running off of it. It's gonna have a bunch of junk on it. The degreaser usually does a pretty good job of taking all this stuff, build up. You can see I just kind of wipe that with my finger and it comes right off. But I'm gonna let this soak for probably 10-15 minutes. When you do this, your oil galleys, you definitely want to get in there, get all those clean, get all the old oil out, you know, just in case there's anything in there. And then of course after your rear crank seal goes, like I was mentioning, you see I just kind of wipe that and it will come off. But I'm gonna let it soak for about 10 minutes, somewhere around there, and then I'm gonna hook up the power washer and get that going and get a bucket of hot soapy water. So I'll power wash it just like the block to clean the degreaser off, and then I will use Dawn dish soap and hot water, wipe it down really well, power wash again, and then brake clean and blow it off. All right, so he's done soaking. I'm gonna try to video this for you guys, but I'm afraid my power washer might knock that over. Nothing fancy, just a Husqvarna 3100 PSI. I do have a special tip on here. This is actually a jet head. So usually your typical power washer sprays out of the fan. This one is more of a stream and it rotates. So I'll get this fired up and see if maybe I can do this and video it for you guys. I don't know. But maybe I can set this up or something. Maybe hands free and hopefully not soak my phone. Yeah. If the wind will play nice. All right, I'm gonna get this started. This guy's all wet. All right, so you see how much that took off? Quite a bit. Cleans up really well. I'm gonna wipe it down with soapy water, go one more round. I'm not gonna video that for you guys. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. And then, I don't know if you can see or not, but as I was cleaning, I made sure to get the power washer in those oil galleys, right? So get everything out. So hot soapy water, rinse and repeat. And I will probably take that red Scotch-Brite, finish cleaning this little bit of stuff up, and come around this guy and get it cleaned up before the sleeve goes on, so there's nothing on it. And once this is done, I'll start again. I'll get this done, get it blowed off, get it brake clean, get it soaked in WD, and then I'll set up my table and we'll start the taps on the block for the head studs. And after that, I'll probably cut the video for there on this one because there's a lot left to go today. I'll just start over, start a new video once we start assembling. All right, I'm back. Got the table set up. The crank's done. It's soaked in WD-40. I didn't clean up the shop very much. I pretty much just started setting stuff up. And my father-in-law just pulled up. But anyways, before I go into tapping the threads, I'm kind of dragging you guys along, but I wanted to go over parts and some of the stuff that I've got going on this truck that's not from the factory. Father-in-law, say hi, Fred. That's our healer, Maddie. All right, so I got brake clean, Lucas assembly lube, WD-40, engine paint, sockets that we're going to be using. We got our taps set up. We got locking bolts for the turbo, front billet freeze plug. I have the rest of the freeze plugs, just they're in the house. I'm too lazy to go get them. AFC Live, ARP 425 head bolts, Cummins coolant bypass, a new block heater because mine was trash. The tappets and the cam retainer. There's the old one with the thrust bearing, just to show you guys. New Borg Warner 62, 68, I believe, turbo with the gaskets from Power Driven Diesel. Most of this stuff is from Power Driven Diesel. I put in a lot of orders through them. And then from Jeff Mama at Mama Diesel, we ordered our gasket kit. We got connecting rod bearings. This is exactly how it came out of the box. Connecting rod bearings, main bearings, rear crank seal with the sleeve, all our rings. I'm not sure what's in this box. I haven't opened it up yet. Got two larger boxes. This is exactly how it's shipped with a list of everything that goes into it. And then our Cummins 20 over head gasket. So I'll get the engine uncovered. We'll go a little more in depth and everything. And I will see you shortly.